Hey Bucks, it's time for another Bucks Book Talk. And today I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of sharing a couple of books that I have read, I'm going to share with you some of our collections and some of the books that are on my to-read list. So you have a lot to choose from this week. So let's start at Destiny Discover. And the first collection I want to show you is our holiday books, because we are only 3 weeks away from Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. And I apologize to those of you if you do not celebrate Christmas, if you celebrate another holiday around this time of the year. I don't have a great selection of books for other holidays, but if you know of any that are good for a holiday you celebrate, you can always make that suggestion to me, and I can put it on my next book order. So this book right here, Nicholas St. North, I'm actually reading this one right now, Nicholas St. North and the Battle of the Nightmare King. It is the first book in a series of 5 books by William Joyce, and it was the basis for the movie Rise of the Guardians that came out about 8 years ago that you may or may not have seen. And this first one, each book is based on a different legendary childhood character. This first one is based on St. Nicholas, also known as Santa Claus. And then the second one is on the Easter Bunny. The third one's on the Tooth Fairy. And they're all battling the Nightmare King. So I'm enjoying revisiting this. I read them a few years ago and wanted to reread those again for the holiday season. The Afterlife of Holly Chase. This is one I've been wanting to read. It's basically a modern day version of Scrooged or The Christmas Carol, but it's focused on a very selfish and spoiled teenage girl. The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. This is one that just got checked out, unfortunately, but it's written by J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So this is one of his lesser known books that you might enjoy reading about. The 12 Dares of Krista. This is one that I also want to read. It's about a girl who has gone to Europe for Christmas with her mom. Her parents are getting a divorce. And as a present, her dad sends her on a scavenger hunt all over Europe. And she's looking for 12 different things in her scavenger hunt. Hot Cocoa Hearts. This one is been very popular already. If you are waiting for this one because it's on hold, then check out some of the other books by the same author. I've got about 8 or 9 books by this author, all kind of focused around food. So those are very fun, and they've been very popular. Miracle on 34th Street is a classic Christmas story that everybody should read. I have not read it, and I need to read it for sure. Mistletoe Murder is one of those lighthearted mysteries that I was talking about last week. Again, another one that I would like to read. There are so many that I want to read. It's ridiculous. And then Agatha Christie, if you're like mysteries, you can never go wrong with Agatha Christie. So we have Hercule Poirot's Christmas and The Adventures of the Christmas Pudding. So those both sound really fun. If you have a little brother or sister at home and maybe you'd like to check out a Christmas story to read to them, maybe as part of a Christmas tradition that you have in your family, The Night Before Christmas is a great one, as is The Polar Express. And we also have The Nutcracker. So some very classic Christmas stories. All of these books would be fun to read this time of year if you are interested in doing that. So the next collection that I wanted to share with you is something that I just added a couple of days ago, and it's our classics. So I know that the classics kind of are older, they're out of date, but they're classics for a reason, and that is that they are timeless and you can never go wrong with them. So when you open up our classics collection, the first thing you're going to notice is that this is a web page link to something called Serial Reader. It's an app that you can download for your phone or your iPad. It is unfortunately not a website. It's only an app that you can download. But when you sign up, it sends you 20-minute snippets of a classic that you can read. So you can read a classic book each day and you only get 20 minutes worth. So they spread this book out over, several weeks. That's the free version. If you pay for the version, if you get the paid version, then you can download all these classics anytime you want and get the whole version of it. But that's a great way if you are trying to get through one of the longer classics and you're struggling. Just getting those little 20-minute snippets every day makes it much more manageable for you. So that's a fun way to read your classics. If you'll notice, I have a lot of Shakespeare in digital format. If you read the Shakespeare in digital form, and Shakespeare is one classic that I have not read enough Shakespeare, but the digital form is going to be in the Old English format, so that's a little bit tougher to read. But if you come down and you see I've got all these in the book form, all these yellow, and these are all Shakespeare, they are written where one side of the page is in modern English and the other side of the page is in Old English. So you get to read it either way you like, and you can compare the two. So if you want to try reading the Old English Shakespeare, you've got the modern English translation right next to you. If you're going, I don't know what that just said, you can then read the modern English. So this is a great way to read some Shakespeare. The one Shakespeare that I've read A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a lot of fun. And I have also read Taming of the Shrew. So those are a couple of his comedies that I've enjoyed. But in terms of what I would like to read, on my to-read list, I definitely want to read more Sherlock Holmes, because if you haven't already caught on, I do love a good mystery. So I've got lots of different collections of Sherlock Holmes stories that a lot of those I've been wanting to read. John Steinbeck is another author that I've been wanting to read as well. His books are very, very thin, but carry a pretty deep, serious message to them. Pride and Prejudice. So this is a book that I've been wanting to read. And one of the reasons I've been wanting to read it is that I have another book in the library called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is kind of a take on this classic Pride and Prejudice and bringing in zombies into it. So I'm like, I got to read the first one before I can read the second one. So I have been wanting to read Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion, both of those by Jane Austen. And then kept coming down, I've got lots of classics by Poe. If you are in Mr. Kennard's language arts class, you probably already know that he is an Edgar Allan Poe fanatic. And so maybe you can earn some brownie points by reading an Edgar Allan Poe book. You might enjoy that. Coming on down, another author that I've been wanting to read that I haven't had a chance to is more of Jules Verne. Jules Verne wrote what we would call science fiction books. Well, now they're classics, and a lot of the science that he has talked about in his books have come to life. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was written about this submarine kind of boat that takes these people down, and they're looking for these giant sea creatures. Well, now in modern day, we have submarines. We know there's those giant squids deep in the ocean, and the whales, sperm whales, and all these giant sea creatures. They didn't know that back then. So in his time, these would be considered science fiction, even though for us now, they're classics. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Journey to the Center of the Earth, those both look like they'd be really fun to read. And then, oh my gosh, there's so many great ones. Robert Louis Stevenson, he wrote Treasure Island, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That one looks great. War of the Worlds. And then down here we come on to Charles Dickens. We've got a lot of his, and there's The Christmas Carol that is also in our Christmas holiday collection. So you can see that we go on and on. The other ones that I've really been wanting to read, I do love mythology. So the Odyssey and the Iliad are two classics that I've been wanting to read. They deal with Greek mythology. So I could go on and on about books I want to read in the classics. There just never seems to be enough time. And that's why I want to remind you about this app. It is a great option. You just download it. They have got 600 classics on this app. And here you can see you get a new 20-minute issue every day. And if you don't read it one day, your issues do build up. So you could read 40 minutes one day or 20 minutes the next. All right. So those are some great new things that we've got in our collections. So I want to take another minute now and show you something brand new that I'm very, very excited about that the district has bought for all of our schools. If you go into LT1, you will notice that we have a new tile now called SORA Overdrive. SORA Overdrive is a ebook and audiobook resource. And in order to access it, you have to connect it, and it will connect you to all of the Lake Travis Community Library ebooks and audiobooks. So this is amazing. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So you would click on this link to open it up. And right here, because I've gone through LT1, I'm already signed in. Over here where it says Explore, you can see it says Lake Travis ISD. I don't have a lot of books in this collection from our library, but if you click the little down arrow and you click on Add a Library, you are going to type in Lake Travis Community Library, and it will come up as Central Texas Digital Consortium. That's a really big word, but I'm going to click over to this library, and I can scan down and look at this. 10,700 fiction books that you can choose from, 3,000 literature books, 2,500 young adult. It's just amazing. So this is a new resource. Here's my mysteries. This is a new resource for you for ebooks and audiobooks. And you can tell if it's an ebook or an audiobook because if it says read a sample, that means it's an ebook. If it says listen to a sample, that means it's an audiobook. And you can check them out. You can place them on hold, however you want to do that. Now, this is through the website, through LT1. But suppose you want to do this on another device. What you would do is you would go into the App Store, either Google Play or the App Store, and you want to download the app called SORA by Overdrive. So if you notice, the picture looks exactly the same as the picture in LT1. So when you open it up, it's going to say Find My School. You will start typing in Lake Travis ISD. Don't type in Hudson Bend Middle School. You want Lake Travis ISD. You don't, and there's also one that says Lake Travis High School. You don't want that one either. Make sure it says Lake Travis ISD, and you'll click This is my school. It's going to ask you if you want to sign in. You're going to say continue. And then it's going to take you to ClassLink. So this is all connected for us. So then you will sign in just like you would normally sign into your ClassLink with your S plus your student ID number and your password. Hit sign in. And then you'll come up to a screen that looks like this. You'll again have to add this new library to get all of these great resources. So you can either type in Central Texas Digital Consortium or just start typing in Lake Travis Community Library and click Add Library. And then you can see it'll show all of the books, 16,000 ebooks and almost 4,000 audiobooks. So this is amazing for us, guys. And again, you can see, is it an audiobook? It'll have the little headphones there and it'll say listen. If it's an ebook, it won't have anything there and it'll say read. So I really, really hope you guys try out the SORA ebooks and audiobooks now. It's just one more amazing resource for us, whether you just enjoy this type of ebook and audiobook or you get stuck at home either quarantining or it's a long break and you run out of things to read. It's another great thing for you to look at. So guys, a lot going on this week in our Bucks Book Talk. If you have any questions, please reach out to me or to one of your teachers. And as always, find something great to read, and I will see you next time.